Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Kellen here with Droid Life. So you've probably watched our unboxing of the Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL already. Obviously, this here is the Pixel 2 XL. So we want to move out of that now and talk about what this phone can actually do and some of the things you should maybe consider tweaking now that it's booted up. You're probably logged in, all of that stuff. So we like to do that by offering you the first 10 things to do with your Pixel 2. We'll start first here with the phone's squeezy side. So yes, like the HTC U11, the Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL both have a squeezy side. So what you can do with the squeezy side? Well, you can launch Google Assistant. So you just give it a little squeeze, Google Assistant pops up, and then you can start asking Google questions or turn stuff on or off in your house or find navigation or set a reminder, check the weather, that sort of thing. You guys know how Google Assistant works. But you can set this phone up, give it a little squeeze, and it will fire that up. One of the other things I would point out is with the phone in a locked state like this, say you pull it out of your pocket, need to ask Google something, you can do it from here as well, and that'll fire up Google Assistant, and it won't necessarily let you beyond your lock screen, but it will fire up and you can get some stuff done there. So I will jump into settings and show you how you access this. You actually scroll all the way down into System, and then there's a section called Language, Input, and Gestures. And so you tap that, and it really is kind of buried in here. Then in Advanced, there is a Gestures section, and Active Edge is what it's called. So we jump into Active Edge, and here is all of your settings for it. There's not a lot. You can't customize this to launch, say, Hangouts or something else, or the camera. It only launches Google Assistant for the most part, and you can set the squeeze sensitivity. So I actually had it too low earlier on, and every time I pulled the phone out of my pocket, I was basically squeezing it. So I've set it somewhere in the middle. You can also make it really, really hard. You can actually turn it off if you don't want to do that at all. You just toggle that little box there. Also, when the screen is off, you can toggle it off from being able to do that as well, though I kind of like it. The other thing, and I guess there is one other addition to the functionality here, and that is squeeze for silence. So you have an incoming call, you can actually squeeze your phone, and that'll silence that call if you want. Just something else you can do there, but that's pretty much it, though. Squeezy side. Active Edge is what it's officially called. That is on here, and it is actually pretty handy. The next thing I would suggest is you set up your fingerprint reader. So fingerprint reader is here on this phone, and it's on the back, which is one of our favorite positions, probably favorite position of all. It's really quick. So Google has fine-tuned this bad boy, and you just barely touch it, and it unlocks your phone. It doesn't misfire all that often, but like I always say, this is a convenient, secure feature. So we jump into security location, and you will see in this device security, not only do you have screen lock, so you'll have to set a screen lock, pattern, pin, password. You'll see pixel imprint, and that is actually the fingerprint section. Why do they call it pixel imprint? It's just their fancy version of their own fingerprint reader. But you can set up multiple fingers in here. And I would suggest at least the 2 index fingers, since those are the main ones when you grab this phone out of your pocket. That's just kind of the natural finger that will rest in that spot. So both fingers, that's where you find it. It's called Pixel Imprint. Again, you should just set that up. It's just one of those things you should do. So you probably noticed with the phone locked, always on display is on. So I'm not sure if that was actually on out of the box, but I would suggest turning it on. It's kind of a handy little feature. Let's actually look at that again. So shows you clock, shows you if you have notifications that you need to deal with, and also shows you the calendar. So if you go ahead and unlock and dive into settings, you'll find this under display. So in display settings, there's some other stuff you may want to tweak in here, but in advanced, once again, this is kind of hidden. There is a ambient display down here. So in ambient display, you just toggle always on to on, and then it will start showing always on. You can also set up a double tap to check phones. In case you want to just double tap on your phone just to wake it up, see some of those notifications, you can do that. And that's pretty much it. You can also have notifications wake your phone when they come in or not. So there's some privacy stuff there. You can kind of tweak that to your liking, but always on I just like because it's nice to be able to just look at your phone and check the time and see if you have notifications, that sort of thing. One other thing I would say though to set up with this, and it's in a different section, if we go into sound and hit advanced, scroll all the way down, there's a section called Now Playing. So Now Playing, this is one of those features they showed at the Pixel event. And it essentially allows the phone to, and this is kind of creepy, always listen to background noise. And so if it hears music coming on, it will then display the song by artist. So you'll see the song and the artist listed at the bottom of your lock screen. I understand there's probably some privacy concerns there. Hopefully that's all it's listening to is just music and not you, but it will show it at the bottom of your lock screen in case you're in a coffee shop or something like that and you just really want to know what song is playing. This thing should tell you automatically. So you can turn that off or on. This is where you find it though. It is at the bottom of the sound section. All right, so let's jump back home and talk about just some settings up front here. So this is the new Pixel Launcher or the updated Pixel Launcher. You can see these search bars down at the bottom along with your dock icons, and then you can just customize your home screens just like you normally would. Swipe up into there to get into your drawer, and now it does this fun little bounce effect. You can scroll through here to grab apps and put them up here, and obviously you guys know how to do that. You just long press, drop an app wherever you want it. If you want to set up a second home screen, you can see I only have one. You have to actually drag something over there, and then you'll set up a second home screen. When you scroll between this, you'll see the bottom area just kind of stays there, stays put. If you want to jump into additional settings though, it's just a long press on home, and this is where you would change your wallpaper, change your widgets, or your home settings. So there's a few stuff in here. So notification dots for one are something I like to tweak. So notification dots and also blink light are a couple of things you may want to play with. So notification dot, see the little Hangouts guy there, and he's got that little dot above him. So that's because I have a Hangouts notification up there. I just long press on that and it'll actually show me what that notification is. That's what notification dots are. They're telling you you have a notification. So I turn those on just because I think they're kind of handy. If you want to long press though, and I do want to show you that one more time, in the notification dot section, there is a blink light. So yes, this phone actually does have an LED light and it is off out of the box. And I actually had to turn that on and it shows up right up there in that corner, and it does actually blink when you have notifications. There's some other stuff in here though, like if you want the Google app to display off to the left, and I'll show you that in a second, you can turn that off or on actually. You can have new apps that are installed in drop directly on the desktop if you want, and at a glance is this little calendar widget up here, so you can turn that off or on. If we swipe over here, you'll see this is the Google section that you can turn off or on. It's kind of like Google now. I don't really know what we're calling it anymore. I'm not really a big fan of the way it's evolved, but it is off to the left, so you can tweak that a little bit. And that's pretty much your home screen settings. You may want to set that all up, or of course you can just install a third-party launcher and just be done with it. All right, so the next thing I do want to show you though still has to do with this, and it's kind of cool. It's almost like a hidden theme, if you will. So there is a light theme. You can see I got a light drawer here. If I swipe this down, this is all a light panel up here. Also, if I long press on, say, these and get to these app shortcuts, this is kind of white. Now, what if you want there to be a black sort of theme and background? You can actually do this. All you need to do is find a wallpaper that is of the darker variety. So if I jump in here and choose this black sort of live wallpaper and I set that, and I'll just set it to everything, watch what happens. So not only does some of this stuff tweak, you can see the font will kind of change depending on the background. Like this will go from a white to a black text depending on what kind of background you have. Some of this stuff changes as well, but look at my app drawer now. It's now black. So I now have a black theme. And also if I swipe this down, all of these shortcuts are now black as well. So it's kind of a baked in hidden setting. You can't just toggle manually between that as far as I know. But if you choose a dark wallpaper, that actually happens. If I jump in all the way into settings though, those do actually stay light. But from the home screen, even if I long press on these to my app shortcuts, that is now black as well. So it's kind of a cool way to jump between different themes, or at least a light and a dark theme. See, now if I go back to a light theme, you can see that font now changes to black, and it was white. That Google logo is now black. And if I swipe up, this is now light again. This is now light again. You can see even my navigation buttons change to dark. So just kind of a really cool feature that Google's not talking about, and you can't manually do it unless you just change your wallpaper. Next thing I would show you then is how to tweak the notification panel. So I'm a big fan of setting this up. And what I mean is this area, your quick tiles, your shortcuts. So you have your first 6 shortcuts to settings that you may want to tweak often. Like I have Wi-Fi, auto rotate my battery, do not disturb, nightlight, and flashlight. So what you would do is when you go to set this up and you hit this little pencil button to edit it, you set up those first 6. And so you just drag and drop. You just long press on an option. If I can actually make that work. There we go. And you just drag and drop it to wherever you want it. And then that is the order that you see. So again, you at least want to tweak these first 6. And again, once you do that, those show up first up here. And again, that's really important because you might turn Wi-Fi on and off. You might use your flashlight. I might use nightlight. So do not disturb all that. So you want to have those only one swipe away in order to get those. So I do recommend most people tweak those. One of the other cool things I would show you in, if we jump all the way back down here to System, Input and Gestures, Advanced, there is an autofill service. So this is new in Android Oreo. So autofill is your passwords and all of that stored. So there are password lockers like LastPass I have installed, Dashlane's another one. Google also has their own autofill service, which they use through Chrome. So if you use Chrome to save your passwords, if you choose autofill with Google, that means when you go to log into apps, go to log into websites, all of that stuff, it'll actually pull from your Google account and help you autofill that stuff instead of having to manually type stuff in. Now, again, you can use some other apps like LastPass or Dashlane as well. And this is where you would check that. If you're a big Chrome user like I am, you may as well use at least Google's because it'll help you just fill in those passwords and things like that. You don't need to look them up. Hopefully you're not writing these things down, that sort of thing. All right, so let's jump back here, and I want to show you, or at least remind you, that picture-in-picture is here with Android Oreo. So if you're watching YouTube, so if I've got a YouTube video, and we will turn that down a little bit, all you have to do, as long as the video is playing, is just hit home, and then that drops down. And so you have this mini version of the video you're watching. You can move it around, slide it over here into this corner, this corner. So you can move it around, get it out of your way while you're doing other stuff on Twitter, on Chrome, whatever. If you want to jump back into it, you tap it once and you can mute it, pause it, go to the next one, or you can expand it back to full screen mode. So again, all you have to do is have one playing and you can go ahead and hit home. This is called picture-in-picture, works with YouTube. It works with Google Navigation. So if you're in Google Maps and you have navigation going, all you have to do is have your navigation up, hit home, and that will shrink down into a little thing as well. So again, that's an Android Oreo feature, but you should definitely get used to taking advantage of it. It also works in some Chrome if you're playing a video in Chrome or something like that. So more apps will certainly add on support for it. YouTube and navigation through Google Maps are definitely ones that you'll want to use first off. So if we jump down in here, I do want to go back into here and show you these two settings, do not disturb and night light. I always recommend people set these up. So do not disturb means your phone will not disturb you during a certain amount of time or a certain period of time. So at night, it's usually good to have do not disturb mode. And night light is one of those where it changes your screen to that sort of amberish color to ease that strain on your eyes at night or in dark situations. So you can set both of those up to actually be on schedules, or you can manually toggle them on and off in here. If we long press on these, it'll actually take us into those settings, and it works for both of them. So do not disturb or night light, or you can go into your settings and you'll find night light in display, and do not disturb, I believe, is in sound. So that's where that is. Again, I'm not going to dive fully in there, but just you might want to go in and tweak those. The next thing I'll show you is, let's talk about the camera. And this is actually one of our last tips. So to launch the camera, and you can do this from anywhere, just like you have been for a while now, is a double press on the power button, and that fires up the camera. And this camera is really fast and it is really good. That's just the quickest way to do it. There's obviously settings and things like that you may want to tweak. I will say, even as someone who's not a huge fan of all the portrait mode trend that's going on, and Apple making a big deal out of it, and Samsung making a big deal out of it, Google's is actually really, really good. So portrait mode is right there. And again, to access that, fire up the camera, swipe out the little menu, and there is portrait mode. I'm telling you, it is really, really, really good. There aren't a lot of settings to tweak in portrait mode. Like, you can't adjust the amount of blur and bokeh. It's kind of whatever Google thinks is the right amount. So far, the right amount has been applied almost every time, but that's where you'll find that. So again, 2 tips there. Launch the camera, double press power button, and then portrait mode is over here in portrait mode. So really, really good portrait mode, really, really good camera. And you'll want to see our camera comparison that Tim's working on at the site. So I'll try to drop a link below. And then finally, I guess I should tell you this as well, to take a screenshot, power, volume down, hold those for a couple seconds. It'll take a screenshot. This is the same way on every Android phone at this point. Power, volume down for a couple seconds, let it screen flash. That is how you take a screenshot. All right, that's just been the first 10 things we think you should do with your Pixel 2 or Pixel 2 XL. Now, I know I showed this on the Pixel 2 XL. All of this stuff that I just showed you works exactly like this on the Pixel 2. So it doesn't matter which phone you have. It works on both of them. So anyways, more coming, including tips and tricks and a full review. We're Droid Life. Peace.